What's up guys, welcome to another episode of GetPsyched, and we're doing another episode of the psychology of. Today we're going to be looking at the psychology of selfies. Selfie taking is everywhere around us. A massive percentage of the population take part in it, and Google recently did an analysis that suggested that 93 million selfies are taken every single day. Now we're all familiar with what selfie taking is. It's a beautiful day, you're outside, you turn your camera around, you take a picture of yourself and post it on social media. But what does the psychology actually suggest about selfie taking? Social psychology has tried to answer this question. Now there's been research that's been conducted that attribute narcissism or some narcissistic qualities to selfie taking. Now it's a case of people between the ages of 18 to 25 that 1 in every 3 pictures taken by that group are selfies. So we can't attribute narcissism to everybody. However, what we can do is we can use something that I've talked about on GetPsyched before. We can use the theory of planned behaviour to understand selfie taking a little bit better. You might be interested in actually viewing that video and understanding a little bit more about the theory of planned behaviour. It's a really famous theory within social psychology, and it's going to help us understand the psychology of selfie taking. Now, the theory of planned behaviour is basically a theory that tries to explain how we go about performing a behaviour. The first part of the theory of planned behaviour is attitudes. Now in this case, attitudes are important to selfie taking because you're going to have a positive attitude towards selfie taking in order to partake in it. The next part of the theory of planned behaviour is subjective norms. That's basically what others' view of selfie taking, or what society or people close to you, what their opinion of selfie taking is. If it's negative, you're less likely to take that selfie. If it's positive, you're more likely. The last part of the theory of planned behaviour is perceived behavioural control, and that basically means our ability to actually take part in selfie taking. Do we have the right camera? Are we aware of the functionality of Instagram, for example? Now, the theory of planned behaviour suggests that in order for us to take that selfie, all 3 of those components need to line up. You can have all the resources that you need to take that selfie, you can have the attitude that you need to take the selfie, but if the subjective norm doesn't line up as well, i.e. what others think of it, then you're less likely to take the selfie. However, in order to fully understand the psychology of selfies, we have one other component that we've already spoken about: narcissism. Now that's not to say that everybody who takes selfies are narcissists. That would pretty much mean that we're all narcissists. But there are components of narcissistic qualities in selfie taking. Research has suggested that narcissism on its own isn't enough to understand the psychology of selfies. We need those 3 components of the theory of planned behaviour and narcissistic qualities to all line up in order to understand that psychology. So that's a really short explanation of some theories and some research that has been attributed to understanding the psychology of selfies. Social psychology has also looked at something called the Selfie Paradox. We've already talked about the massive amount of selfies that are taken each day, but the Selfie Paradox tries to explain what people's perception of selfies are and what their perception of their own selfies are. Participants that took part in studies that talked about the Selfie Paradox said that often their selfies were for comedic value rather than anything else. However, 90% of those same participants said that all other selfies were likely to be self-glorifying. Therefore, we can establish that the Selfie Paradox basically means that people are more likely to see their own selfies as just a bit of fun and everybody else's selfies as something more serious. When you think about it, that does make quite a bit of sense. We're more likely to view ourselves and our own actions in a positive light, and we're also more likely to view everyone else's in a little bit more of a negative light. So perhaps the next time you take a selfie, you'll think a little bit more about the psychology behind it. You'll think about narcissism, you'll think about the theory of planned behaviour, and you'll think about the Selfie Paradox. Guys, thanks again so much for watching GetPsyched, and thank you for watching another episode of the psychology of. Today we were looking at the psychology of selfies. Don't forget guys to connect with me on Twitter, on Instagram. You can follow me on Facebook and on LinkedIn, and you can also visit my website at frasersmithcounselingsci.com and keep connected that way. Thanks so much for watching guys, and we'll catch you soon.